Ever stop to think about, well, everything around you? Your phone, maybe your morning coffee, that package you're waiting for?
Hmm.
Every single one relies on this huge, kind of invisible global system of movement.
It's true.
Yeah.
You rarely see it directly, but it's always there.
Exactly. And today, we're taking a deep dive into that world. We're looking at the global freight transportation management market.
And for this deep dive, we're leaning on some really detailed forecasts from cognitive market research.
Right.
They give us a pretty clear data-packed view of where this whole massive market is actually headed over the next, say, 10 years or so.
So, our mission today, let's unpack these, frankly, pretty remarkable growth
All
numbers.
right.
We want to pinpoint which parts of the world are really driving this thing forward
Mm,
and just get our heads around how much this really critical industry is going to change. Prepare yourselves for some seriously big numbers.
definitely some big numbers involved here.
Okay, so let's unpack it, starting with the global picture. The scale, even back a few years ago, was pretty substantial.
Oh, yeah. Back in 2021, the whole market, it was already generating over, what, $20.6 billion?
20.6 billion, not small change.
Not at all. But what's really striking, I think, isn't just that starting point. It's the projected surge.
Right.
So that $20.6 billion expected to climb to nearly $30.8 billion by 2025.
Okay, so that's already significant growth in just a few years.
But then it seems to really accelerate after that. The forecast takes it up to an incredible $68.3 billion by 2033.
68 billion. Wow. So just to put that in perspective, the market's basically set to more than triple.
Exactly. More than triple in, what, about 12 years?
That's huge. And for an industry this size, it means we're looking at a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR.
It's 10.471%.
10.47%. A double-digit CAGR over that long haul, that signals more than just growth, right?
Oh, absolutely. It points to this sustained year-on-year compounding expansion. It's, fundamentally changing how stuff gets moved around the planet.
Okay, so globally, massive growth. But where's the engine for this? Where is it really taking off?
Well, if you look at the regional breakdown, Asia-Pacific is undeniably leading the charge here.
Okay.
This region alone generated over $6 billion back in 2021.
6 billion, right.
And that's projected to hit nearly $9.3 billion by 2025. But then, like we saw globally, it really surges, almost $21.9 billion by 2033.
21.9 billion just in Asia Pacific.
Correct. And it's growing at the highest regional CAGR too, 11.296%.
11.3% roughly. So I guess the big question is, why? What makes Asia Pacific such a powerhouse for this?
That is the core question, isn't it? And it's likely a mix of factors.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the sheer scale of economies like China and India, obviously.
True. But beyond that, you're seeing huge infrastructure investments happening across the region. Think ports, railways, roads,
Okay.
plus a booming e-commerce sector. You have this rapidly growing middle class buying more stuff online.
Which all needs to be shipped.
Yeah. Exactly. And significant manufacturing output as well. You combine all that.
And it creates this perfect storm almost for freight management growth.
Precisely. It's incredibly fertile ground. And when you drill down into specific countries,
Yeah?
you really see those drivers in action.
Okay, let's do that.
China, for example, huge player, projected to go from about $1.6 billion in 2021
Okay.
to over $6 billion by 2033, still maintaining a very strong CGR over 11.5%.
6 billion just for China's freight management market. Impressive. But you mentioned India earlier.
Ah, yes, India. The report actually flags it as the fastest growing market globally,
Globally, wow.
with an incredible 12.13% CG-SHAR.
12.13%.
So India is expanding from roughly $900 million,
Yeah.
maybe a bit more, in 2021,
Uh,
to over $3.5 billion by 2033.
3.5 billion. That really highlights the rapid industrialization and, consumer growth pushing their logistics networks.
Absolutely. And it's not just the giants. You look at Japan, growing from around $1 billion to nearly $3.5 billion.
Yeah.
South Korea, from about $600 million to over $2 billion. Singapore, too, strong growth, more than tripling.
And all with solid double-digit KGRs.
Right, consistently.
Yeah.
Japan's over 10.6%, South Korea over 10.7%, Singapore even higher at 11.5%.
Okay.
Even the broader Southeast Asia region, think countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand,
Yeah.
that block is growing significantly too,
Yeah.
from about $370 million up to $1.45 billion.
So it's really a picture of region-wide expansion in Asia Pacific.
Definitely. It's broad-based.
Okay, so Asia Pacific is clearly where the most, let's say, explosive massive growth is happening. But let's pivot a bit. Let's bring our focus back across the Pacific to North America. Still a massive market, right?
Absolutely colossal and demonstrating really significant scale and sustained expansion. Maybe a slightly different growth dynamic than Asia Pacific, but still very strong.
Okay, so what are the numbers there?
North America generated over $7.1 billion back in 2021.
7.1 billion. Already bigger than Asia Pacific was then.
Yes, in absolute terms at the start. It's forecast to reach nearly $10.5 billion in 2025.
Okay.
And then push on to almost $22.5 billion by 2033.
22.5 billion. So very close to Asia Pacic's projected total, actually.
Very close indeed. And that comes with a robust CGR of 9.956%.
Right.
Just shy of double digits.
Almost 10%. Still very healthy. What's striking there, I suppose, is the U.S. contribution within that.
Hugely striking. The United States alone accounted for, get this, almost $6 billion of that $7.1 billion back in 2021.
Wow, the vast majority.
Right. And that U.S. slice is projected to rise significantly to over $18.4 billion by 2033.
18.4 billion just for the U.S.
Still maintaining a strong 9.835% CAGR on its own. It just underlines how fundamental logistics are to that enormous U.S. economy.
No kidding. And it's not just the U.S. driving North America, right? Canada and Mexico.
They're showing healthy growth, too. It suggests, a wider regional thing happening.
So Canada
growing from approximately $650 million to over $2.2 billion. That's actually a strong CAGR, 10.838%.
higher than the U.S. average. Interesting.
In Mexico, also solid expansion from roughly $530 million up to almost $1.7 billion.
And its CAGR.
A respectable 10.157%.
Okay. So the takeaway from North America seems to be massive scale, maybe slightly slower percentage growth than Asia Pacific overall, but still huge volume and consistent expansion.
That sums it up well. North America remains absolutely crucial.
All right. Let's cross the Atlantic now. Europe. How does it fit into this global freight picture?
Europe is also a very significant market and quite diverse, actually.
Yeah.
It stood at over $4.3 billion back in 2021.
4.3 billion.
And it's projected to grow substantially, reaching over $13.6 billion by 2033.
13.6 billion. So smaller than North America or Asia Pacific, but still very large.
Definitely. And its CAGR is right up there with North America, actually.
Yeah.
9.995%.
Practically 10% as well. Interesting. So given how diverse Europe is economically, how do the individual countries kind of stack up within that?
Yeah, good question. It's not uniform, as you'd expect. Germany is the heavyweight in Europe.
Makes sense.
It started at around $912 million in 2021, forecast to grow to over $3 billion by 2033.
3 billion for Germany?
And it boasts an impressive CGR, 10.689%. Strong growth there.
Okay, who else is notable? The UK?
The UK also showing strong growth, from around $600 million up to nearly $2 billion by 2033. CGR over 10.3%.
Right. France.
France rising from about $640 million to almost $1.9 billion. Slightly lower CAGR there, around 9.5%.
Okay. Italy, Spain.
Both seeing substantial growth as well. Italy from roughly $450 million to $1.35 billion.
Yeah. Spain
from about $330 million to over $1 billion.
And their growth rates.
Italy's around 9.6%. Spain's a bit higher at 10.3%. So both projected to more than triple their market value, too.
So generally strong growth across Western Europe. Any outliers?
Well, it is interesting to note Russia in the data.
Okay.
It shows a comparatively lower CER, around 7.98%.
8%?
Yeah.
Noticeably lower than the others we've mentioned.
Yeah, growing from about $187 million to $469 million. It kind of stands out.
Suggests that, specific regional factors or maybe geopolitical situations can really impact these freight dynamics even within a generally growing continent.
Absolutely. It's not a monolithic picture anywhere.
Okay. So we've covered the big three. Asia Pacific leading the growth rate, North America with huge volume, and Europe diverse but strong. What about other regions? South America, Middle East, Africa?
Yeah, definitely important not to overlook them. While North America, Europe, and especially Asia Pacific dominate the absolute numbers, these other regions are showing really significant and growing contributions. They're part of the story, too.
Okay, let's take South America first.
South America totaled over $1.2 billion back in 2021.
1.2 billion.
Projected to reach over $4.3 billion by 2033. That's with a solid 10.78% CAGR.
Strong growth there, too. Any key countries driving that?
Brazil is a major one, obviously, going from about $530 million to nearly $1.8 billion.
Okay.
And Argentina's interesting, too. Smaller start, around $211 million, but projected to hit over $770 million.
And its growth rate?
Argentina actually shows a very strong CAGR, 11.378%.
Higher than Brazil's even. Wow.
Yeah, quite dynamic there. Then you have the Middle East.
Right?
Stood at just over $1 billion in 2021, forecast to hit almost $3.5 billion by 2033.
3.5 billion. And the CAGR.
Pretty consistent with the others, 10.667%.
Any standouts there? Saudi Arabia?
UAE, exactly. Saudi Arabia is projected to grow from about $300 million to over $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And the UAE growing from roughly $178 million to over $640 million by 2033. The UAE actually has a pretty high KGR, too, over 11.3%.
Lots of investment in logistics hubs there, I suppose.
That's likely a big factor. And finally, Africa.
Okay.
Started smaller, relatively speaking, around $765 million in 2021.
765 million.
But it's projected to grow significantly, reaching over $2.5 billion by 2033.
2.5 billion. That's more than tripling as well.
It is, with a CAGR of 10.059%, right around that 10% mark again.
And within Africa, South Africa.
South Africa is a notable player, yes. Poised to grow from about $316 million to over $1.1 billion. Also with a strong CAGR over 10.6%.
Okay. So what's compelling when you look at South America, the Middle East, Africa together? It's that consistent double-digit or near double-digit growth pretty much across the board.
Exactly. It really underscores that this expansion isn't just confined to the traditional economic powerhouses. It's genuinely global.
Right. So after digging through all these numbers, region by region, what's the big takeaway? What does this all mean?
Well, I think the core message from our deep dive today is pretty crystal clear.
Yeah.
The global freight transportation management market isn't just, growing steadily. It's experiencing this phenomenal widespread surge.
A surge that's fundamentally reshaping how goods actually move around the entire world.
Precisely. And, it's important to remember, this isn't just abstract economics or big numbers on a page.
Right. It connects to everyday life.
It absolutely does. This explosive growth, it directly impacts global supply chains, international trade.
And ultimately, the availability, the cost of the goods that you interact with daily.
Exactly. It touches everything. The clothes you wear, the food you eat, the tech you use. It highlights all those invisible gears that keep our modern economy turning.
It really does. So thinking about this transformative growth, this huge expansion in managing how things get from A to B, it makes you wonder, right?
What are you thinking?
Well, given this explosive growth, what kind of unexpected innovations or maybe challenges do you anticipate popping up in global logistics over the next decade?
That's a great question to ponder.
I mean, think about how things like AI and automation might play into this.
Or climate change pressures,
Yeah.
demands for sustainability.
Maybe even new trade routes opening up or old ones shifting. How will all that interact with this ever-expanding, super-connected world of freight?
Lots to think about there. It's certainly not going to stand still.